the Des Moines Register, and welcome to the Des Moines Register Political Soapbox. Thank you. We at the Des Moines Register believe in civil discourse, and we also believe in Iowa nice. I really thank the candidates who decide to come and speak with fairgoers, so let's please give them the courtesy of letting them speak without interruption. Our very first speaker of 2024's Des Moines Register Political Soapbox is Zach Nunn. Mr. Nunn is a Republican from Bondurant, and he's running for re-election in the 3rd District. Now, the 3rd District is the one that includes Des Moines and also much of south central and southwestern Iowa. Mr. Nunn is a colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, U.S. Air Force Reserve, let's get that right. And he also served for 8 years in the Iowa legislature before winning his seat in Congress in 2022. So please welcome to the soapbox stage, Congressman Nunn.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate it. Thank you, Carol. Guys, thank you and welcome to the fair. This is excellent. Look, it is so nice to see people from across Iowa out here, and I would like to take just a brief moment to introduce you to some who are near and dear to me. We got a little crew here. My wife, Kelly, and I had the privilege of growing up in eastern Polk County here, and we had our second date on East Side Night here at the fair. So what happens at East Side Night does not always stay at East Side Night, and I'd like to introduce you to some of my kids now. Right now we have 2 little girls who came to live with us last year. We've been in foster for a while, but they just had a birthday this week. So Miss Jana, how old are you?
4.
You were earlier this week. How old are you now?
5.
That's right. Okay. Miss Aaliyah, how old are you this week? Oh. That's a big 4. And Miss Selwyn, how old are you?
5.
That's right. And we have our wonderful niece who is out with us today. Miss Lucy, how old are you?
7.
Very nice. And she just danced this morning, so we got to hang out with her. Guys, I introduced this because each of you have a story to tell, your family, your legacy here in Iowa, whether you're a long-time Iowan, whether you're a first-time Iowan. This is what makes the state fair and Iowa, I think, so great. Now, I'd like to just highlight a little bit of our background. We grew up, we went to, my dad was a teacher at North High School here. My mom was a nurse back when it was still called Methodist. We are a 6th-generation farm family. My wife has been incredible in this. Now, not only is she an independent business owner, she went to community college to really learn a skill set and started off as a photographer. Then she went back to school at University of Iowa, got an MBA, and she has done just a phenomenal job running her own business. She's also got a side hustle, being a rock star mom and putting up with me full-time. We met when I came back from a military deployment, and that was an opportunity for us to serve in a new way, to serve both our country but also our community. Coming back here gave me a privilege of not only having a wonderful family, but still getting to serve in the military. Now, in this new role, we are looking at our time in Washington as being a deployment, that we are fighting hard for the things that we served overseas for. So as we've worked through these little girls going into preschool to kindergarten, we've taught them a lot about their ABCs, the basics of just getting a good education. And I think it's time that Washington start learning a little bit about the ABCs of being a much better government. It's one of the key reasons we ran. A being, first of all, an America First policy, one that really puts our priorities at the top of the line. It's one of the reasons I'm proud to be serving on the Ag Committee and making sure that Iowa's voices, industry, economy, and our future is well attuned to. I'm very proud that I worked across the aisle, but we also led. We led more legislation that got into this year's Farm Bill than any other member of Congress. So Iowa has truly not only outkicked its coverage here, but we are getting the type of support that only Iowa can. That means good jobs, that means beginning farmers, that means investment in hard infrastructure, things like farm-to-market roads and broadband that we were able to pull out. It also means that we fought hard for something that I think all of us relate to here on Farm Day. We take care of our agriculture, we take care of our livestock, but we also fight back against people who would have things like puppy mills, and that's why I was proud to lead Goldie's Act, which was able to be passed and put into this year's Farm Bill. Guys, the next part about this is B, and this is just the really basic stuff here. But we need to be able to protect our nation. That begins with border security. It's the number one thing I hear about when I go to all 21 counties across the 3rd District is how every county now has sadly become a border county. I was out with one of my sheriffs recently and we did a tour of Union County. The amount of fentanyl coming into our country today tragically takes the life of 150 young people. Those from my oldest daughter up to my age are dying at an extraordinary rate. In any other case, we would call this a crisis. Challengingly, too many in Washington are treating it like this is everyday business. And I'll be the first to say that's not only bad for Iowa, it's bad for our future. It's one of the reasons that we have led on border security. I've been down the border multiple times, both in a combat situation where we have been, as a National Guard member, helping provide targeting for securing the border, but also as a policy member, being in a situation where we can help lead the protection of our border. Now, 8 million illegals coming into our country is a direct threat to our nation. In fact, I think there's no more clear direct threat to our country. And so it's why the very first piece of legislation that we moved forward in Congress when I was there, and I've only been there 18 months, is to help provide energy independence so that we're not dependent on foreign countries. The second one that we moved forward was H.R. 2 to make sure that we shut down and secured our border. Now, I've asked the Senate to come alongside and work on this in a bipartisan area, but the Senate hasn't even moved a bill out of the Senate yet. They can't even agree with themselves. We passed it on a strong measure. We have to secure our border before we can talk about any type of immigration reform. Now, guys, as we move into this, I also want to talk about C, what it means for a community. You look out here today, we have folks from all walks of life, and truly they want what is best for our country. Now, I've been proud to be able to lead in the state legislature. We passed the 3 largest tax cuts in Iowa history on a bipartisan basis by being able to work together. And you know what that means? When Iowans have more money in their pocket, guess what they do? They invest it right here in our local economy. We cannot have a situation where the federal government continues to spend more than it actually brings in. No farmer, no family, nobody with their own credit card would be putting money and living on borrowed dollars. The federal government has got to take a haircut and be responsible. And that brings us to E on the economy here. We have a great opportunity to be a leader here in the House. It's one of the reasons I'm so proud of bringing Iowa common sense to Washington, D.C. Because in this route, we've been able to really showcase what's capable. First and foremost, not only by cutting taxes and cutting spending, we're helping grow the economy. If you've got a $32 trillion and growing deficit, that's a national security risk. And we've got to make sure that not only do we tell Washington, stop spending your tax dollars, but we've got to help you grow your businesses to help grow our economy. And then finally, I'll say one of the challenges that comes out of this is the dysfunction of D.C. When I first got to D.C., I led 3 very important bills. One, I said, no member of Congress should trade stock. And what little stock Kelly and I had, we got rid of before we even went there. But D.C. politicians should not be getting rich on insider information. 2, we said no politician should be getting a pay raise, particularly when the American people are paying more. And so we made it very clear that we were not going to accept a pay raise, but also that if the government shut down, members of Congress shouldn't be getting a paycheck when the rest of the country, particularly our military members, aren't getting theirs. So I led the bill to make sure military gets paid, politicians don't, if they can't pass a budget. And then, friends, I think this is very important. You know, Iowa has a lot of great leaders. And you look out here, I see a lot of them who I've worked with, who I know. We want to make sure we have the best people leading in Washington, D.C. And so we move very strictly to say, once you leave Washington, you need to not become a paid-for lobbyist, because it becomes a revolving door of folks who go to Washington to spend more time getting rich than actually coming back to their community. And I have a very good incentive, 6 of them in fact, that tell me I need to get back home. And if these little girls aren't telling me it, I have this one here who smacks me on the back of the head. So I am home every weekend working for this district, but I also recognize the importance of making sure that Washington starts to change its tune. And friends, don't think this didn't come with fire from both sides, Democrats and Republicans. I had a senior establishment Republican find me in the parking lot and shout, "Hey, freshman, what the hell are you doing? I can't trade stock, you're not going to do a pay increase, and I already have a lobby gig lined up." Well, I said, you know what, brother? I appreciate what you do, but I work for folks back home. I hope you consider doing the same. And from that, we've been able to lead some real revolutionary change. On both sides, I'm proud that I am one of the top 10 most bipartisan members of Congress, but I'm more proud that I have 750,000 great bosses back here in Iowa who give me the opportunity to serve this district. And with that, we are fully committed to serving each one of you. So I fought in battle. I've been overseas, and now that we are back home, I am as committed as each one of you to making sure that our families have a better, a brighter future. And my commitment to you is let's keep the momentum that we've had in Washington with real leaders out there and not move backwards to the way that we've been. Here's my ask. This is going to be a competitive election year, and I know we've got some ice cream melting behind me, so I'm going to be quick on this. This is an opportunity for each of us to stand up for things that are important. I have been privileged to lead bills that actually get passed in both the House and the Senate and in Congress, ones that take care of veterans, like the veterans that I served with. The veterans who need assistance when their families come home but don't get the opportunity to spend time with their kids. When little Selma was born, I immediately was sent on a military tour. I want to make sure that every military family, whether they're active duty, Guard, or Reserve, has the opportunity to spend time with both their kids and their foster kids and their adopted kids. It's one of the things we've led on. That bill has already been passed because of our good, hard work on this. The second is making sure that families who want to own their own home have access to it. It's one of the reasons we've held USDA accountable and moved good rural housing legislation forward, things that actually put families in homes in our communities and drive a future for Iowa's ag communities, both rural and urban. We have been able to lead so many bills that have gotten not only across the finish line, but as a freshman, you might not know this, a lot of bills don't even get the opportunity to come to the floor. We passed that bill, friends, in 30 days. House, Senate, signed into law, serving Iowans. Thank you very much for all of you who've been champions on this. Now, guys, I want to make some commitments as we march into November. You all know this already because I fought for you on it. We want to make sure that Social Security and Medicare is 100% guaranteed because the folks who have paid into it have earned it and they deserve to be able to keep that. That's my commitment to this community, to our state. We want to make sure that we keep fighting for Iowa in a good way that helps lower taxes and allows you to reinvest in your economy. And we want to go forward in a way that makes sure that good communities have the opportunity to grow. And that means having a secure border, fighting crime, tamping down on human trafficking, and the deadly fentanyl scourge that's been fighting our area. So guys, I know we can do this together. I want to thank the Des Moines Register, too, for helping put all this and giving us the opportunity to have these conversations. It's a great tradition, and it's one of the wonderful things that the Iowa State Fair gets to bring. So, as you venture out tonight, I look forward to talking with you, hearing your questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, but most importantly, I also want to make sure you take advantage of East Side Night tonight because you're going to meet some of the best people on the planet. And as I spill a little bit of ice cream on this, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming out and being fighters and voices for Iowa. Together we do it. Thank you, Iowa, and God bless America.